Someone you trusted is the reason you are hurting right now. Not a stranger, not an enemy you saw coming. Someone you let in, someone you believed in, someone you gave access to the parts of yourself that you protect from everyone else. And they used that access against you. Maybe it was a friend who smiled to your face and destroyed your reputation behind your back. A business partner who took everything you built together and walked away. A colleague who claimed credit for your work and left you standing in a room full of people who now doubt your value. A person you loved who decided that your loyalty was a resource to be extracted, not a gift to be honored. However it happened, the feeling is the same. That specific kind of pain that comes not from the loss itself, but from the realization that your judgment was wrong. That someone you chose to trust chose to use you. And that for however long this relationship lasted, you were operating on false information. Here is what most people do with that pain. They react, they confront, they post, they explain themselves to mutual friends. They try to expose the betrayer. They obsess over what they could have done differently. They lose sleep replaying every conversation, looking for the moment they should have seen it coming. And in doing all of this, they hand the betrayer something even more valuable than whatever was taken in the first place: their power. Sun Tzu watched betrayal destroy armies. He watched trusted generals turn against their commanders. He watched kingdoms fall, not because of external enemies, but because of the enemies that had been invited inside the gates. And he developed 7 strategies for handling betrayal that are so cold, so precise, and so psychologically devastating to the betrayer that most people will never have the discipline to use them. But the ones who do, they do not just survive betrayal, they use it as a weapon. Stay with me, because the 7th strategy is the one that transforms everything. The one that takes the worst thing someone has ever done to you and turns it into the foundation of something they can never touch. Think about what betrayal actually costs you. Not the immediate loss, the friendship, the business relationship, the professional standing, whatever was taken or damaged in the act itself. Think about what it costs you after. The distraction, the emotional energies spent on anger, on grief, on the obsessive need to process what happened. The trust you now withhold from people who deserve it. The opportunities you miss because you are looking backwards instead of forwards. The version of yourself that you cannot access. Focused, creative, strategic, fully present, because part of your mind is permanently occupied with what was done to you. This is what Sun Tzu would identify as the true cost of betrayal. Not the wound itself, the infection that follows if you do not treat it correctly. Sun Tzu wrote, "He who knows when he can fight and when he cannot will be victorious." Most people fight the wrong battle after being betrayed. They fight the betrayer, directly, publicly, emotionally. They fight to restore what was lost. They fight to be seen as the wronged party. They fight for justice in a world that rarely delivers it on the timeline or in the form that pain demands. Sun Tzu would fight none of those battles. He would fight only one, the battle for his own strategic position, for his power, for his ability to move forward with maximum clarity and minimum cost. The 7 strategies that follow are about exactly that. Not revenge, not justice, not healing in the conventional sense, strategic survival, and strategic ascension from the most destabilizing experience a person can face. Strategy 1. Feel nothing in public. Feel everything in private. Sun Tzu wrote, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night." The moment someone who has betrayed you sees your pain, they have won something they did not deserve. Not because your pain is weakness. Pain after betrayal is the appropriate response of someone who trusted deeply and cared genuinely. There is nothing wrong with it. It is, in fact, evidence of your capacity for loyalty, which is a strength, not a vulnerability. But pain displayed to the wrong person is a weapon handed to an enemy. The first strategy is absolute emotional concealment in any context where the betrayer, or people connected to them, might observe you. This is not suppression. This is not pretending the betrayal did not happen or that you are unaffected. This is the deliberate, strategic choice to process your real emotional experience in private, with people you fully trust or alone, and to present a completely different face to the world in which this person operates. What face? Not anger. Anger signals that they matter enough to disturb you. Not forced happiness. Forced happiness is obviously performed and signals the same thing. The face of someone who is busy, who is focused, who is building something, who has, apparently, already moved on, not because the wound did not land, but because there are more important things requiring their attention. This is psychologically devastating to a betrayer, because the betrayer, consciously or not, expects a reaction. They have prepared for your anger, your attempts at exposure, your public pain. They have their counter-narrative ready. They know how to handle a fight. They do not know how to handle someone who appears to have already filed them under irrelevant and moved on. In private, feel everything. Grieve. Be furious. Process every layer of what happened with people who are genuinely on your side. Give yourself the full experience of what this loss means. And then walk back into the world and show them nothing. Nothing is the most powerful thing you can show them. Strategy 2. Update your intelligence. Do not repeat the same mistake. Sun Tzu wrote, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you will not be imperiled in 100 battles." Every betrayal contains a lesson, not a motivational lesson, a strategic one. The question is not, why did they do this to me? That question leads to psychology, to history, to the betrayer's story, none of which you can change, and most of which you will never fully understand. The question is, what information did I miss that would have predicted this? Because betrayal almost never comes from nowhere. In retrospect, almost always, the signals were there, the inconsistencies in behavior, the moments where their actions did not match their words, the times you noticed something and explained it away because the alternative was uncomfortable, the pattern that was visible but inconvenient to see. Sun Tzu's intelligence network was not just for gathering information on enemies. It was for developing the capacity to read people accurately, to see past what they present and understand what they actually are. The second strategy is to conduct a rigorous, unemotional post-mortem on this betrayal. Not to punish yourself, to upgrade your pattern recognition. Ask yourself, what did I miss? When did I first feel something was wrong and choose to ignore it? What did their behavior tell me that their words contradicted? Where did I value loyalty so much that I projected it onto someone who had not earned it? These are not comfortable questions, but they are the questions that prevent the same type of person, different name, same pattern, from finding their way into your inner circle again. The person who has been betrayed once and learns nothing is the person who gets betrayed repeatedly by variations of the same individual. The person who extracts every lesson, who uses the experience to become a significantly more accurate reader of character, is the person who builds a circle of genuine loyalty over time. Sun Tzu never lost the same battle twice. Neither should you. Strategy 3. Withdraw access silently and completely. Sun Tzu wrote, "The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals." After betrayal, most people either cut contact dramatically and publicly, which creates conflict and gives the betrayer attention, or they attempt to maintain the relationship in some form, which gives the betrayer continued access and continued opportunity. Both are strategic mistakes. The third strategy is the silent withdrawal, complete, gradual where necessary, entirely without announcement or drama. You do not send the message. You do not have the final conversation. You do not post about it. You do not tell mutual friends you are cutting this person off. You simply become less and less available until you are not available at all. What this accomplishes is significant and often underestimated. First, it denies the betrayer the reaction they expect. Drama confirms they still have power over your life. Silence confirms they do not. Second, it protects you from further damage. The person who betrayed you once has already demonstrated their capability. Continued access means continued risk. Every conversation, every shared space, every mutual interaction is an opportunity for further extraction of your emotional energy, your information, your time. Third, it is psychologically more powerful than any confrontation. The person who simply disappears from someone's life, calmly, without explanation, occupies a very specific and very uncomfortable space in that person's psychology. They cannot fight what they cannot engage. They cannot counter a narrative that was never spoken. They are left with nothing but the space where you used to be. And that space, over time, becomes its own form of consequence. Strategy 4. Never seek revenge. Create conditions. Sun Tzu wrote, "Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting." The desire for revenge after betrayal is one of the most powerful human impulses, and one of the most strategically destructive. Revenge requires your resources, your time, your energy, your attention, your creative capacity. Everything you spend on engineering someone else's downfall is something you are not spending on engineering your own ascent. And in almost every real-world scenario, the person who focuses on their own growth ends up in a far better position than the person who invested equivalent resources in destroying someone else. But Sun Tzu was not naive about human nature. He understood that some form of consequence for betrayal is not just emotionally necessary, it is strategically important. Betrayers who face no consequences become bolder. They find new targets. They repeat the pattern with increasing confidence. The fourth strategy is not revenge. It is the deliberate creation of conditions in which the betrayer encounters the natural consequences of who they are, without your direct involvement. What does this look like in practice? It looks like building your reputation so consistently and so visibly that the betrayer's narrative about you becomes increasingly difficult to sustain. It looks like becoming successful enough in your field that the people who believed the betrayer's version are confronted with evidence that contradicts it. It looks like maintaining your integrity so reliably that anyone who knows you and knows the betrayer eventually draws their own conclusions. You have not done anything to them. You have simply built something, and let the contrast between what you built and who they are do the work for you. Sun Tzu called this winning without fighting. Your success is not just your success. In the context of betrayal, it is also the most eloquent possible response to everyone who doubted you. Strategy 5. Protect your inner circle with new standards. Sun Tzu wrote, "He who knows the art of the direct and indirect approach will be victorious." One of the most damaging long-term effects of serious betrayal is not what it does to your relationship with the betrayer. It is what it does to your relationship with everyone else. The person who has been deeply betrayed, if they do not address this deliberately, tends toward one of two dysfunctional extremes. Either they close completely, trusting no one, letting no one in, protecting themselves so thoroughly that genuine connection becomes impossible. Or they swing the opposite direction, anxiously seeking reassurance, oversharing with people who have not earned it, trying to compensate for the loss of one relationship by fast-tracking intimacy with others. Both are understandable responses to pain. Neither is strategic. Sun Tzu's approach to rebuilding after defeat was methodical. He did not abandon the concept of alliances because one alliance had failed. He studied what had made that alliance vulnerable and built the next one with greater care, greater patience, and greater attention to the qualities that actually predict loyalty over time. The fifth strategy is to rebuild your inner circle with upgraded standards, not higher walls. The difference is important. Higher walls means less access for everyone, a kind of generalized distrust that punishes the innocent along with the guilty. Upgraded standards means more careful attention to the specific qualities that the betrayer lacked, and that you now know to look for in the people you allow close. What qualities did the betrayer consistently fail to demonstrate? Consistency between their words and actions. The ability to celebrate your success without resentment. Discretion with sensitive information. the willingness to maintain loyalty when it was not convenient. These are your new standards, not stated as conditions, observed in behavior over time. Because the person who truly has these qualities will demonstrate them without being asked. And the person who does not will reveal it, given enough time and enough patience, through exactly the kind of inconsistency you missed before. Strategy 6. Use the betrayal as fuel. Specifically, Sun Tzu wrote, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." There is a specific form of motivation that only becomes available after serious pain. A clarity, a focus, a willingness to do things that you would not have found the energy for before, because the alternative is remaining in the position you are in now. Every significant betrayal contains inside it the precise energy needed to escape the situation that made the betrayal possible. This is not a motivational platitude. This is strategic psychology. Think about what the betrayal revealed about your position at the time it happened. Were you dependent on this person in a way that gave them leverage? Was your reputation, your income, your social standing in some way tied to their goodwill? Did the betrayal land as hard as it did partly because you were more vulnerable than you had acknowledged? The sixth strategy is to use the exact pain of what happened, not as a general motivator to do better, but as a precise diagnostic tool for the specific vulnerabilities that the betrayal exposed. Because those vulnerabilities existed before the betrayal simply made them visible in the most painful possible way. Now you can see them. Now you can address them. Now you can build the specific things that would make this type of betrayal impossible, or at least far less damaging in the future. More financial independence, less reliance on any single relationship for professional access, a stronger public track record that speaks for itself regardless of what anyone says, a wider network so that the loss of one relationship does not remove you from an entire world. Sun Tzu never left a vulnerability unaddressed after it had been exposed in battle. Neither should you. The betrayal showed you exactly what to build. Build it with urgency, with precision, with the specific kind of focus that only pain of this magnitude can produce. Strategy 7. Become someone the betrayal could not stop. Sun Tzu wrote, "The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat." This is the final strategy, and it is the one that takes the longest, and the one that matters most. Everything we have discussed so far is tactical. Manage your emotional presentation, update your intelligence, withdraw access, create conditions for natural consequence, rebuild your circle with upgraded standards, convert pain into specific fuel. These are strategies for navigating the immediate and medium-term aftermath of betrayal. They are important. They protect you. They preserve your power during the period when you are most vulnerable. But the seventh strategy is different in kind. It is not about responding to the betrayal. It is about becoming someone for whom betrayal, while still painful, can no longer determine the outcome of your life. This is the version of you that Sun Tzu spent his entire life building toward. Not the version that handles betrayal well, the version that is simply too built to be broken by it. What does this mean practically? It means that your value, professional, social, creative, financial, is so clearly established and so widely distributed that no single person's action against you can significantly diminish it. It means that your identity is so grounded in your own standards and your own track record that someone else's narrative about you slides off without penetrating. It means that when the next betrayal comes, and there will be one, because betrayal is part of the cost of trusting and engaging deeply with other human beings, you will feel the pain of it. You will grieve what was lost. You will go through the strategies outlined in this video, but you will not be destroyed by it. You will not lose months of your life to recovery. You will not emerge smaller on the other side, because you have built something that is larger than any single loss. A body of work, a reputation, a circle of genuine allies, a set of capabilities that belong to you entirely and that no one can take by walking away or turning against you. Sun Tzu's greatest achievement was not any single battle. It was the construction of a military mind so complete, so methodical, so deeply rooted in understanding that no single defeat could undermine the whole. That is what the seventh strategy asks of you. Not to handle this betrayal perfectly, to build yourself so thoroughly over months and years of consistent, disciplined work that this betrayal becomes a footnote, a data point, something that happened on the way to something far more significant. The person who betrayed you counted on your smallness, on your dependence, on the assumption that what they took or damaged would leave you diminished. Become the proof that they were wrong. Not for them. They do not deserve that much of your attention. For the version of yourself that was always capable of this, and that this betrayal, painful as it is, finally gave you every reason to become. Look at the betrayal you are carrying right now. Which of these 7 strategies do you need most in this moment? Maybe it is strategy 1, the discipline to feel nothing in public while you process everything in private. Maybe it is strategy 2, the uncomfortable work of extracting every lesson from what happened so you never pay for the same mistake again. Maybe it is strategy 7, the long decision to become someone so built that the next betrayal, when it comes, cannot stop you. Choose one. Apply it this week, with discipline, with intention. Because Sun Tzu never wasted a defeat. He studied every one. He extracted everything it had to teach, and he emerged from each one more dangerous than he entered it. You have that same capacity. The people who betrayed you may have taken something, but they also gave you something, whether they intended to or not. They gave you a reason. Use it. Subscribe to this channel because every video goes deeper into the ancient strategies that the world's most powerful minds have used, not just to survive their worst moments, but to build something extraordinary from them. The next video reveals the strategy Sun Tzu considered the most dangerous of all, the one that your enemies use against you before you even know the battle has started. Watch it next.